Every day, more and more people are making movies. Filmmaking has become the new garage band. I'm Johnny DiLoretto, and this is Framelines, the series that aims the lens on those who are out there making movies. Framelines sits down with the writer-producer Mickey Fisher, who was our first featured filmmaker. A lot has happened since we talked with Mickey since then. He's created the CBS series, which stars Halle Berry, is being produced by Steven Spielberg. Also, he's working on a feature script for Warner Brothers.
Well, I moved out to LA 3 years ago, and after making all the independent films and all the projects I was doing at home and at theaters, and I moved out here 3 years ago, wanted to break into TV. I wrote this pilot script and I entered it into a contest early last year, and I got a call late March from the guy who ran the contest and said, "You're one of our 5 finalists, we're going to try to get you represented." That led to getting a manager, the manager led to getting an agent, and the first day the agent said, "Let's take this script and let's start at the very top, let's send it to Steven Spielberg." And then here I am a year later. We're days away, weeks away from premiering the show on CBS. So after they sent the script to Steven Spielberg, there were those, the long week where you're waiting, and I eventually got a call from my agent, and they said, well, there's this filmmaker named Steven Spielberg, and he likes your script. And so I started going to meetings to pitch out the rest of the big ideas that I had for the season and the series. We hired a showrunner, Greg Walker, who has written for The X-Files and for Smallville, and he created his own show, Vegas, and worked with Without a Trace, and he and I hit it off right away, and he and I began sort of developing the world and developing the story and really coming up with a plan for what this could be. And then in late July, we went around to 9 different places to shop it around and to pitch the show. CBS purchased it, and we actually found out on my 40th birthday that the news hit the streets, and I woke up that morning to a call from Mr. Spielberg himself saying, "Congratulations and happy birthday." Well, we got an Academy Award winner named Halle Berry to play the lead role of Molly Woods. She's the centerpiece of the show. She's our astronaut who goes to space on a solo mission and doesn't come home alone. So she was the first person, the only person we really thought of, really chased after, and lucky for us, she was chasing after the show too. She read the script, really responded to it, wanted to do it, and so for me, it was the dream come true, because she's the perfect person to play this kind of role. She's somebody that you root for, you get behind, you want to see Halle Berry save the world. I mean, one of the coolest parts of the whole experience was we were putting together the writer's room, and we were hiring all the production staff, and we were all in the offices together on the same floor. And I would go walking around the offices and doing our work and going to meetings, and then just gradually artwork would start showing up on the walls and conceptual pieces, and all of a sudden the space station, or these moments that I had dreamed up and put on paper a year, 2 years before. So I would start walking around the halls and see these things take shape, and all these moments that were just started as an idea in my mind were now becoming reality. And then you go on the stage and you see that another group of artists and craftspeople have created this on a soundstage, and it's a house. I mean, it's a 2-story house that's on the stage, and the Space Center and the space station and all these places that we've dreamed up come to life, and a team of really hardworking people, day and night, and blood, sweat, and tears to make it happen. So it's a dream come true in so many ways. They always tell you to write what you know, and the first movie that I wrote, the thing that I knew was my hometown. And so I wrote the story in my hometown, set my story there, and then I also knew that I could film it there. I could take advantage of those independent film resources, the things that they tell you to do, right around what you have. And I had my parents' house and our neighborhoods and things like that too. And I feel like that's what Ohio offered me. It offered me the opportunity to tell stories. But the other thing that offered is it's a fertile environment for storytelling. There are so many stories there, and there are people to tell them, and talented people there, and I feel like we have a lot more to go. I would say if you really want to write movies, direct movies, make television, act, whatever it is, that just start doing it. Just start creating something. Even as small as it is. I made a very small independent film, and then that got me to make another independent film, and I got to work with people and learn the process, and I made music videos, and I'm still going to be making those kind of things for myself on the side, because I feel like just learning to be creative and make those kind of choices and decisions is it's a huge skill to have, and every little bit of that led to something else, and created a relationship or you know, a new avenue, and I really feel like just the fact that I started making my own things got me here eventually.
One of the longest running film festivals in the United States is the Columbus International Film and Video Festival every fall, and Susan Halpern has been running this show for years. Peter John Ross explains a little bit about making movies in this next clip.
Even just a few years ago, the idea of editing meant just cutting from one shot to another, and the most special effect was a dissolve. Today, the editor's job expands into all kinds of effects and also fixes. There's a common saying that most people want to avoid, and it's, "We'll fix it in post." Meaning, during post-production, you try to fix mistakes from the shoot. Things have changed a lot recently. What used to be a ruined take can now be easily fixed in editing. Here we have two shots where the boom mic entered the frame or the shadow of the crew was seen.
I never talked to him and he asked you out that ended your social contract and now you're in the clear, right?
In the old days, that meant you either had to reshoot or choose a different take. Today we have options. You can take a part of the frame from either before or after the mistake, then crop it down to just the area you need to cover it up. Then lay it on top of the take you want to use. Voila! You have a seamless fix on that take that might otherwise have been perfect. Thinking a little outside of the box, using the digital technology in ways that maybe you hadn't considered, means you can do more with your footage.
Framelines went on location for Joe Buscemi's short film.
My friends were dropping like flies in what the papers called a series of unfortunate accidents. I knew better. When Flanagan's garage suffered an ill-timed gas leak, I knew I wasn't far behind them. It was either my life or his. I used my name to track down a man I'd only heard of, even from behind bars, the kind of guy with the reach to do what I needed done. I'm Billy Caprino.
I know who you are, and that you seek the murder of the most powerful man in the city, your father.
Winter Film is a contest put on by SOFA, the Southern Ohio Filmmaking Association down in Cincinnati. And it's a contest, 28-day contest, where you're tasked with making a film in 28 days, start to finish. So conceiving, writing, producing, editing, and getting out a product in 28 days. It's got to be a short film, so I think up to 11, 12 minutes, something like that. And yeah, it's a contest that forces you to get something done, which is, I think, good for creative people. So I saw the contest, and I'm like, okay, I think I might want to try this. And the genesis was, the idea was, I've kind of had this world bubbling around in my head. I'm an After Effects person, so I'd kind of been, it would be the equivalent of location scouting for a cameraman, but I'm a post-production guy. So I kind of had this world in After Effects that I've been thinking about for a while. I'm like, God, I want to tell a story in this world. So it's a period piece. So, you know, believe it or not, we kind of bit off a lot here in this, and I tried to do a piece on green screen that I kind of created the world in After Effects behind the actors that puts them in a 1920s kind of gangster world. And right away, the support was overwhelming. Oh my gosh, let me do this for you. Oh, I can do this for you. Wow, that's great. Let me reach out to this person. He'd be great. What's your idea? And just, I think as a person, as a storyteller, to have people so genuinely behind your idea really empowers you and emboldens you to go, gosh, yeah, I can do this. The first person I reached out to was Jenny Cipolla, and I'd worked with Jenny before on a previous project, and she was just great and so supportive and well beyond the role of being an actor, which she is a great actress in film. Jenny right away connected me with 2 or 3 people, and one of those people, Andy Falter, who's the lead in this, reached out to him right after Jenny, and immediately he started connecting the dots for people on talent and crew, and so it just kind of took a life of its own, and these people really took the ball and ran with it so I could concentrate on the things I needed to concentrate on. So the roles just got filled for me almost. On the crew side, I work with my brother Dominic at Inline Productions, and right away, it's good to know when you're tackling something like this that you've got automatic support. And believe it or not, it's a family affair here. I have a cousin in the business who's a freelancer and does audio, and he can even DP. David Falk is his name, and he just, no questions asked. I text him, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. He said, I'm in. This film was entirely shot on a blue screen, so very few things, maybe just some props and costumes were involved in the live action shooting, and people, everything else was actually composited in. We did all of our shooting in one day. Morning to afternoon, evening, because we could control the environment so well. You know, literally, we were right on schedule. I think maybe even ahead of schedule. I know that's almost unheard of, but we just kind of plotted right through. and the actors were spot on. They knew their lines, and boy, when everything comes together like that, it's great. So that's the joys of it. Pitfalls of it, then I'm more of a post-production person, so I get back and I look at all the footage, and there's just a lot of work to do in compositing on every shot. It's not like, hey, you got to pick out a few shots and let's see what we can do to that, or see if we can kind of add something to that, special effects or anything. Every shot is a special effect, even a conversation between two people. So I think I underestimated the time it would take to render out some of these things and give it a little bit of something extra. But honestly, I really enjoy the process. I love creating a world that is only here until I can get it on a screen for other people to see. It's just a thrill for me to do that, and it's a thrill for me to show the people on set who were standing in front of a blue screen just trusting me. There's a building right here and someone in a window. Look about 45 degrees up and yell, and they just have to trust you, and they did a great job of it, and I like to show them, see, I was right. The finished piece turned out great, I thought. I thought the acting really surprised me, and it wasn't surprising me because of the ability of the people. I just really I don't think of that when I'm telling a story. I'm thinking about what I have to do. And then I look at the finished product and I see, wow, these people really told my story for me really, really well. And they added things. I had some just great experienced guys on set who really added to my idea in the moment. And I thought, oh wow, I didn't even think of doing it that way. And she totally right in how they played that. So I really am happy with the finished product. I think it's gonna be something that people haven't really seen. My lesson for myself is do it. Just keep doing it, keep making, keep creating. I've always been a learner, to a fault probably. I always feel like I don't know enough, but my lesson is do it, do it, do it, do it, learn along the way. Keep learning, use doing it as my learning experience and don't use it as an excuse, but they go hand in hand. Actually create something, and these contests that I've entered, the SOFA and MOFA contests that are out there, are great examples of forcing you to create something and finish it.
Scott Spears moderated a panel discussion with actors with the Mid-Ohio Filmmakers Association.
So we'll start back with you then. What was your first acting before the camera role? You said when you were 12.
Yeah, I was 12. Back in 1982, my brother and some friends, we shot, we'd inherited a little 8mm film camera, and we went down in the woods and made a movie. And that was probably the first. It was 3 minutes long. I think that's about what you could get out of a canister of film at that point. And you'd have to send it off to the lab and wait for it to come back, and there was no audio, and the camera was not a through-the-lens view, so you didn't know exactly what you were going to get. And it, despite all of our grand illusions, once you got it developed and played it, it just looked like a bunch of kids running around the woods. But we got better successfully.
Right.
Successful summers after that, we got better. So.
Right. Did you add sound to your movies, or?
We tried. We tried the old tape recorder sync up with
Yeah.
the silent movie. That doesn't. They run at different speeds, and
Right.
it doesn't work.
Steadily went out of sync.
Yeah.
Like Chinese, Japanese movies.
Yeah.
Christina, what was your?
Well, this is terrible because I can't remember the name of it, and I should have looked that up before I came. But it was John Whitney's short with the sister wives. So I think, well, there were a couple of things that I got cast in at the same time, but I think that's the one that shot first. And it was freezing cold. It was about, I don't know, about as cold as it is today. And I had to chase her outside with no coat, and we had a whole conversation outside, and she had her big coat. So every time that John yelled cut, we'd get in the coat together and wait until the next take. But it was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Okay. And John, what was your first big?
My first
screen
on screen was probably 12, I think, and it was a commercial in my very short-lived first time with an agent when I was a kid, and I think it was for Charles Penzone, for one of the first times that they were going to start advertising, and it was for an ad back then. So.
Okay.
So what was the name? I'm curious. Do you remember? Did you have a name for that first movie that you had?
Werewolf 1982.
Knew that had to be
Man.
nice.
So I'll do a little follow-up. going before the camera and seeing yourself for the first time, or was it, or the whole process, was it, John, was it what you imagined, say, oh, we're going to do this, and I'm in front of the camera, and then you see it later?
No, I never saw it.
Oh.
But I mean, the experience of it was not what I thought it would be. It was fun, but it was that first time of, doing something over and over again and kind of losing a little bit of a mystique of it. Of like you're 12, you're like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to get paid for a commercial, and then you never see it, and
right.
You're not sure what the heck you did, but it was fun. I mean, I remember having a lot of fun doing it, and then that was the only thing I ever did.
All right, Christina, what was working on that film with John Whitney? What was it like when what you imagined and what it became?
Well, first of all, when Gil, he would say speed, I thought he said speak. So I was like, I'm not familiar with the term speak. So that was the first thing I learned, was that there's other things that are being said besides action. Yeah, seeing it, it was interesting. It was cool to watch. It was interesting to see, because I'd already done stage before that. And with stage, you see the whole story, and you know what the whole thing is. And so with this, I mean, I'd read the script, but there was a lot to the film that I hadn't been part of. So it was interesting to see the whole piece and see how you fit into it.
Mm-hmm. Brian, I mean, the backyard films or whatever. I mean, was it kind of cool? Go to the theater and you see movies on the big screen and on TV and stuff. So when you did that first movie, was it magical, or was it like, ugh?
No, it was pure magic. I mean, you're 12 years old and you have this device that you can tell any story you want and you can capture it, and then you send it off to this lab, and then they send you back this thing, and it has what you shot. And the whole process was, when you're shooting it, there was no way like with digital video playback, you can look at what you just shot and all that. There was no way to look at it. So we'd send it off, and you kind of forget about it for 2 weeks when you're 12, and then you get this thing from the drugstore, and it's like, let's go get the projector and put it in the garage and see what we have. And the whole thing, to me, was magic. That's why I'm still doing, acting and film and producing and all that stuff, because I'm still fascinated with it.
Telling stories with a camera.
Yeah.
It's great. So, all right, well, let's get to the nitty-gritty. John, what kind of training did you have, or you could recommend for actors that are, starting out, and what's the good road to take so you can be ready when that camera is first pointed at you?
I think it depends on where you are in your life. I mean, if you're in a university setting, obviously, if you're in a place where there's a theater program or an acting program, that'd be the place to start. If you're not in that kind of setting, finding any kind of resources that are available, that's what I did. I mean, I studied theater did a lot of theater in high school, and then I did no theater other than like a Theater 100 class in college. And so really most of my training has come from taking classes from instructors locally, outside of school, outside of a university system or an educational system. And then just starting to try to do as much work as I possibly could, whether it was with other friends who were doing film, and I didn't get into the other side of the camera for a while, so if anybody that I knew was making a film or doing anything, I just wanted to be a part of it, and you can get a lot of great experience that way. Those are the places to start, and then there's workshops, and I would just say be choosy in the workshops that you do, because if you're going to take time and money to invest in yourself, make sure it's going to give you a worthwhile return on it. But there's a lot of resources that you can do outside of the university system.
Okay. So, Christina, what kind of
training?
What kind of practice, whatever helped you and you think would help others?
Well, I took a couple of classes. I used to live in Las Vegas, so I took classes at UNLV, improv classes, and then I took a class at OSU. But like John, most of my training has been through people who offer classes outside of a university setting. And I think the thing is people want to know who's the best person to study with, and there are strengths and weaknesses out there, but I think if you're in a university, you're not going to have just one person teach you, and I think different people react differently to different instruction. So I think find your way, and don't be afraid to take classes from more than one person.
Okay.
Because you learn different things. I have a lot of different instructors in my head when I'm working through a script and trying to figure out what I need to do. So.
Right. Okay. And Brian, what training? What kind of? Or do you just kind of walk into it?
Well, I kind of took the opposite way. I kind of worked my way into production from the other side of the camera, which was I was a tape guy and an editor assistant, and I'd go out on shoots, and I was learning more about the production side of it. And through that, I got opportunities to do a lot of voiceover work, and then started stepping in front of the camera. And I did take some classes in high school. I took drama, and I took acting classes at Ohio State and things like that. But I've never really, again, my love affair was with production as a whole, with making movies and making stories. And so I kind of came at it that way, kind of back way. And I got to meet great actors that were already doing it when I was doing production, and a lot of them gave me a safe place to fail. And I think that's like a really, everybody needs that, It's just like a certain point in our lives when then that kind of gets pulled out from under you, where it's not safe to fail anymore. And I was lucky that I got to be around a lot of creative people that gave me a safe place to fail.
That's a wrap. We'll catch you next time on Framelines.